What is going on, Fightful Faithful? Welcome back to another interview with me, Corey Brennan, here on Fightful Overbooked. I am here today with probably one of the most, if not the most influential woman in Irish wrestling, really, I would say. I'd say that's a fair way to describe it. Katey Harvey of Fight Factory. How are you doing, Kay?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for the intro. I'm not quite sure it's true, but
I,
it's nice of you
I,
to say.
that's my opinion, at least, anyway. And we're gonna start with, I imagine, is your pride and joy, your co-owner of Fight Factory Pro Wrestling. Do you? There's so many schools around Europe, in Ireland, just basically across the entire continent. For you, what separates Fight Factory from the rest of the schools in Europe, for your opinion?
So we are lucky that that there's a very high standard of wrestling in Europe. But I do think we stand out just because tradition is very important to us.
Mm-hmm.
We are, I think, maybe the longest running school in Europe, definitely in Ireland. And we are basically teaching pro wrestling the same way it was taught to Phil, my partner, who runs Fight Factory, the same way it was taught to him by Fergal Devitt, who's Finn Balor, and Paul Tracy, who took it from NWA Hammerlock in the UK. So we have a very strong tradition
Mm-hmm.
of passing down tried and true tested methods of teaching pro wrestling. And then as well, a lot of our coaches travel and train and then they bring stuff back to the Fight Factory.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very good at integrating different styles into what we do.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we're having a really good success rate with people coming from the school.
And I definitely wanted to highlight that because the list is just like, when you really do look at it, of Irish talent that have passed through Fight Factory stores, Lyra, Debbie, LJ, uh, just just like, I could go on and on here. I could be going all night here, but for you to see all this talent kind of just grow into these just stars, like, how much does that warm your heart to this day?
Honestly, like this is the most incredible thing to me about being involved with Irish wrestling is seeing these people progress. And even if you go back a little bit further, our main title when we use Fight Factories for promotion is the Irish Junior Heavyweight title. Like
Mhm.
that was first held by Sammy D, by Be Cool, by JD McDonough. Like Becky Lynch was, she did her training in Fight Factory after she signed with WWE to
Mhm.
prepare her to go back to WWE. And said founded by Fergal Devitt and Paul Tracy. It's just they're we're everywhere
Yeah.
basically. And it's really really incredible, but obviously some of them people were kind of making their strides before my time. I've been involved in Fight Factory for 13 years. So the Lyras, the LJs, the Debbies, the Michael Mays, they're kind of my generation and the people I've seen from day one. So
Mhm.
Lyra Valkyria, for example, like I was there the first bump she took, the first role she did. I was involved in her first ever match, all the way up to I flew to Philadelphia to see her in Stand and Deliver this year.
Yeah.
So to see that transition is just absolutely incredible. And we start off talking about what makes the school so special, and it's when people branch out from the school, a lot of those people still stay involved.
Mhm.
So LJ Cleary, he's debuting for New Japan on Sunday.
Yeah.
He's still coaches 3 or 4 times a week when he's home.
Yeah.
Lyra, when she's home, comes down to the Fight Factory. We had Becky down for a WWE documentary only a couple of years ago. So it's really it's a community. That's what makes Fight Factory special. It's a community, and we try to keep that sense of community even when you've kind of outgrown the school and gone on to your career.
And one of the things the Fight Factory, especially like recently, is you've been putting on quite a few mystery shows where just nothing's known, complete. And correct me if I'm wrong, the last one, Mark Haskins decided to pop out of the box.
Oh yeah, Mark
So, or no,
Andrews.
not
Mark
Mark
Andrews.
Andrews. Sorry, I interviewed Haskins, and yeah, sorry, the names get confused sometimes. But yeah, Mark Andrews popped out of the box. I remember seeing the clip, and I was like, why didn't I go to this kind of thing? And that's how I feel
Yeah.
every time I see these mystery shows, because you guys always do deliver. Do you want to provide a little insight on booking these mystery shows? Because I imagine they can be sometimes a little stressful, a little just you're getting a little worried, kind of. Is everyone going to like this kind of thing?
There's definitely an element of that. And sometimes in the past we've kind of gone too far into the crazy, I think. But we like wrestling is a variety show, so we like to try
Mm,
provide a little bit of everything. And again, use the people that we have in the school that are incredibly talented. So that last mystery show was, genuinely co-booked by J Money, you know, the man behind Trinity Brawl. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you see touches of that come in. The next show is genuinely being booked by Fabio and LJ.
Oh no.
Last year the show they booked ended up being one of the best shows we've ever had. So it's about utilizing the people around you,
Yeah.
just to make the best product that you can. And I suppose one of the reasons why we like mystery is when I first started wrestling, the internet, this is gonna make me sound so old. The internet wasn't really a big thing for promotion. It was flyers, it was posters. You didn't really know individual wrestlers unless they'd kind of made a big splash.
Yeah.
Everything was a mystery, and you'd very often show up to the show and not know who you were wrestling that day. And I kind of love and miss that element of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really good for new wrestlers to not maybe kind of know what they're doing 6 weeks in advance, to show up and be like, okay, I'm wrestling so and so. What is my game plan today? I kind of love that element of surprise for the audience and the wrestlers. So that is why we don't announce everything for Fight Factory shows. And also card is subject to change. You know, sometimes you might get a great addition at the last minute. Mark Andrews was a very last minute addition to the last show. He had a previous booking that had fallen through. So it was kind of cool to be able to put on that kind of surprise, because now exactly what you're saying, I better go to the next one because I don't know who's going to show up. So it's really great that that's kind of getting out there across about the shows.
And with the success of the mystery shows, is there any like ideas to maybe branch out to more venues with Fight Factory with those with that kind of mystery selling point, like, or are you guys happy where you are for now?
We would absolutely love to branch out. It's kind of been well documented in Irish wrestling now that there is a bit of a venue crisis, and not just for wrestling, for kind of mid-sized arts in general. So we actually just came off a 5-month break from shows. And one of the reasons was I was looking for new venues. I wanted to do something different because I felt like we needed something fresh. And there is still places I'm checking out and looking at, but it kind of got to the point, it's like, okay, well, look, we just want to run shows again. We just want to showcase the wrestlers again, which is why we scaled down the amount of shows and why each of them has a little twist. For example, the last one being the mystery show, the next one being almost a kind of bragging rights between Fabio and LJ. So we're trying to do less and make them more interesting. Until we find more venues. We'd absolutely love to do more venues. We actually have a very close working relationship with RCW down in Cork. And that's kind of brought around the IWA, the Irish Wrestling Alliance. So we are branching out now into other towns, but it's more kind of your family friendly orientated shows that we're branching out with there. But yeah, definitely like more venues is definitely part of the plan.
And obviously, like I said, a lot of talent just ends up all over the place. But two talents that just recently moved abroad, two people that I know, one person especially that gets on your nerves, she's in your bio, Debbie Keitel and Anita Vaughn. They both, I'm not sure if Debbie has moved full-time, but Anita announced recently that she's moved full-time to the UK. Is that like, what does that for you? Obviously, seeing those two just spread their wings even more. Obviously, Debbie's long-standing compared to Anita, but Anita's just blowing everyone away as this new powerhouse on the scene, kind of thing. And does it almost feel like just it's almost hard to let them go, kind of thing, and let them go over to UK, base out of the UK, and just take over that scene?
You know what? Like, it's lovely to see, and they're only a plane right away. Now, Debbie is still based in Dublin. She's actually coaching at Fight Factory, so I'm holding on to her a little bit longer.
Yeah. See, it's so confusing with them because Debbie's just over and back, over and back, over and back. So I never know with her, honestly.
Yeah, that's it. It's European wrestling is such a good hub because you can do so much. You know, so Anita Vaughn, she is only like 45 minutes away. So it's not the last that we've seen of her on Irish shows, but it's a great stepping stone for her to get into the London scene, because the work she's been doing in WXW this year and last year has just been incredible. It's been amazing, you know, and it's so nice when you know someone is that good, like the way, you know, Debbie and Anita are that good, and then the rest of the world starts catching on. You're like, yes, go. Show them.
And speaking of Anita, and you mentioned RCW there, back in December, you actually had a match with Anita with Session Ma as the referee. Now, that was a very fun match for me to see personally. And I do want to ask what that match was like, this guest referee element, or working the RCW and just putting that match together, what that was like.
Yeah, I love RCW. Yes, baby. That's the excitement in Paw Patrol kicking in now.
Yeah.
I love RCW, and one of the reasons I love RCW is we do have a close working relationship, but that's where I get to go be a wrestler. I don't have to wear my promoter hat. I don't have to wear anything else. And that was a really fun match for me because myself and Session Mock are back so long. Like we're both in this 13 years. So can you take her out for a second? We're both in this like 13 years now. So it's kind of a special full circle moment for her to be involved again.
Yeah.
And then obviously I love wrestling Anita Vaughn. I think she's brilliant, and it was really fun. And then myself and Session Matt were actually teaming up in RCW, which is a fun little twist on things. I don't know if I think we've tagged once in 13 years, so this is a really fun thing to do when you kind of felt like you'd done everything with somebody.
And when you look at really who's been, like you said, Lyra was kind of came up at the same time as you, but with you, it's kind of you, Martina, and Becky is kind of the long-standing Irish women's wrestlers, kind of at this point. And you've wrestled both of them time and time again, but I'd say that they would be up there with you as the most influential, especially on the island of Ireland and worldwide. So, what was it like working with Becky even early on, and then after she signed when she came to prepare for WWE with you guys?
It was really cool because Becky was the first female wrestler I ever saw in person when I used to go watch NWA Ireland shows. So to me, it was a real eye-opening moment of like, oh my God, like girls are actually wrestling. And even then, I grew up watching WCW where there was women on the show, but they weren't necessarily wrestlers, or women's wrestling wasn't a feature of WCW. I just didn't have the channel for WWE until they started showing it on Channel 4, like many people who lived in the country. So to actually see like a woman get in and wrestle was absolutely incredible. So then she had taken a hiatus when I first started wrestling. So when she came back, like obviously I knew who she was straight away. I was like, oh my God, Rebecca Knox, Shamira, if you want to go back even further. So I got to train with her, I got to tag with her once, and I got to wrestle her once. And like, even though she was just coming back off a massive hiatus, she's just so good. She's just like, she's just always had a spark, and she's always had a great personality. So yeah, really, really, really cool to see just how far she's gone. It's such an inspiration. Whenever you see people like Becky and Lyra explode on WWE, the amount of girls that contact the wrestling schools is incredible. It's such a great knock-on effect. And it's something that we definitely want to harness and get more women involved in wrestling.
And like I said, you're one of the longest-standing veterans right now. If you could go back in time to just after you made your debut, and with everything you know now, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
Don't jump off top ropes. No. I suppose just it's so hard to think like what would be the best piece of advice. I suppose it would be just to trust in yourself. When I first started, there wasn't that many shows in Ireland. So you kind of had to bet on yourself and push yourself out towards Europe and stuff to actually like get seen and get regular bookings and stuff. And even then, there wasn't that many girls on the island. It was myself and Session Mott in nearly every single match. So I'd say just if we just had pushed a little bit more, we did push a lot, but just trust yourself and keep going.
And I did mention obviously a couple of the girls, and I do want to go back to one in particular who's kind of flying a bit under the radar. She's done pretty much what LJ has done. She's gone to Japan. She's absolutely killing it. Myla Grace. She's joined up with Marigold. You're smiling. You love her to bits, I imagine. But she is one of the few foreign talents in Marigold right now, and she is in a prominent position. Have you spoke to her much since she went over there, or is it kind of just a case of like you're waiting for her to come back to give her a big hug and so on?
I haven't spoken to her since she went, but I had a really good chat with her just before she flew over because She was the Titanic Women's Champion, and
Yeah.
I won the belt off her on her last show before she went over. And it was just very cool to have that moment. She is killing it, and she does not get the credit she deserves for how good she is. When I came back after my injury, I had like a short list of girls that I'd never wrestled that I wanted to work with, and like Myla Grayson and Eda Vaughn were like the two at the top of the list. So I was
Yeah.
really, really happy that we got to do a couple of matches before she got snapped up, because it's kind of one of the things is like, oh, okay, that's the start of it for you now. Like
Yeah.
that's you. You're on the way. So
Yeah.
it was really cool to get them few shows with her.
And I'll ask one more question about other talent before I come back and we talk a good bit more about you and your career. But for Irish women's wrestlers in Ireland, there's not as many as there say there would be in the UK. Obviously, a smaller country, smaller size. But is there anyone for you, any of the young girls who are trying to break through right now that have caught your eye and you're kind of like, wait until people see what she can do?
Hello?
You're good. You're good. Did you hear that?
Hello?
Hello? You lagging a bit?
Sorry, that cut out there. Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Okay, I'll repeat it. Obviously, there's so much talent going on, but one thing that I think a lot of people are looking to is talent for the future, especially young Irish women's talents. And I'm just wondering, is there any that stand out to you that you're waiting to kind of just break out at this point?
Titanic Wrestling is where to keep an eye on for women's wrestling at the minute. There's a couple of really incredible girls up there. Um, they definitely have a very strong group coming up through the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
There's not that many training at the moment down south, so it is something that I would love to rectify. So if there are any, girls listening, watching this who want to get involved in wrestling, like please give us a message. In Fight Factory, we're very lucky to have two female coaches on staff,
Mm-hmm.
which can make the transition a little bit easier to get stuck into pro wrestling. So we're definitely always on the lookout to help more women get involved.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like you've said a couple of times, Titanic, you've been wrestling there a bit now. And what's that, like you said, there's so much talent there to look out for and so on. But what's that experience been like for you, especially coming back off your injury?
I love Titanic Wrestling, and Belfast Wrestling has a special place in my heart because we had PW there previously,
Hmm.
which I had a very long relationship with. It's some of the best shows I've ever done have been up there. I got to wrestle incredible talent there, like Tony Storm, like Piper Niven, like Kaylee Ray. I got to do a show with Kevin Nash up there, one of my all-time favorites. That was one of the most special moments I had. Um, it's again, I think the Belfast wrestling scene is very overlooked, and I think
Hmm.
there's some really good stuff going on up there. Titanic are getting 300-400 people in a show,
Hmm.
and they're bringing over excellent talent. On the next one, I'll be wrestling Emerson Jane, and that is going to be such a fun match.
Yeah,
So I would definitely, if you're looking for independent wrestling, get stuck into Titanic Wrestling. They put everything for free on their YouTube.
absolutely. And for you, obviously, you started off as a talent, you transitioned into coaching and so on. What was that transition like for you when you initially made that jump to do both? What was that was that a bit scary, a bit overwhelming for you?
Not necessarily, because my day job is I run a regular gym, and I have done
Hmm.
for the last 10 years. I've worked in the gym and fitness industry. So I actually have a lot of qualifications and strong background in coaching.
Yeah.
So once you're kind of confident in your wrestling, meshing them the two together was gave me a lot of confidence going in. And I suppose coming back off injury is why I jumped to coaching and promoting more so. I wasn't sure if I was going to come back as a wrestler. I'm not sure if I wanted to, or
Hmm.
how much I would end up doing. But coaching was a great way for me to still stay involved with wrestling, because I do love it so much. I'll never walk away from wrestling. I'll always be
Yeah.
involved somehow. So coaching was kind of the perfect way to like scratch the itch of being involved in wrestling when I wasn't sure if I could physically wrestle.
Yeah. And as well as that, and I have to ask as well, Titanic, you are bringing over so many, but you are going to be wrestling someone who I also interviewed, someone who said that she really wants to get more time in the ring, especially with Irish talent. Amira, she's coming over for a Titanic show. I don't know if she actually has at this point yet or not. I might have mixed up the dates.
Yeah, no, we
But
actually wrestled on Sunday.
there you go. Right. So I'll change the question. Sorry, just so many dates to keep track of, especially in Irish wrestling lately. But working with Amira, she's kind of hit a new stride as an in-ring performer this year. Before that, she kind of had gotten complacent kind of in managing. She even said that herself when I spoke to her. For you to work with Amira, do you see that improvement? Do you see that general improvement of her just from even just a short little while ago?
You see, this is the mad thing. That was the first time I met her.
Oh yeah,
For
was
both
it?
for both being involved in Irish wrestling, that was the first time I ever met her.
Oh,
I don't know how our
that's
paths didn't
mad.
cross in the background.
Yeah,
But that was the first time I met her, and you know what? It was great working with her. And there was a girl called Morgana. She's definitely one of the
yeah,
ones to watch out for up in
yeah,
Titanic. Really, really excellent. So we had a fun triple threat up there. Um, but yeah, no, she's doing great. Like another Irish girl thriving over in the UK. And the great thing is, it's the girls are all helping each other in the scene now.
yeah,
Girls are all, recommending each other to promotions and working with each other. And it's a really positive atmosphere, and that's what you need to do for everyone to succeed.
yeah.
When I first started wrestling, it wasn't necessarily like that. Um,
Mhm.
so it's great that everyone's kind of realized for the scene to grow, everyone needs to grow together.
Yeah. And before I do let you go, Katie, a promotion that you have found yourself in a couple of times, and I've talked to a lot of the girls in the Irish and the UK scene about this, is Pro Wrestling Eve, the all women's promotion based out of the UK, and that and that and that kind of sorry.
I see Daddy's home, yeah. I no. We multitask in this house.
Yeah. And just you've had, like I said, you've had a solid year so far in 2024. Is there anything that you hope to achieve in the second half of 2024?
Um, I've ended up doing a lot more wrestling than I thought I was going to do. And I am
Mhm,
loving it. So I would like to continue on that vein. I was lucky enough this year that I got to teach an all women's seminar in Germany.
mhm,
I'm going to be back in Belgium this year. I've obviously got to wrestle great people in RCW, Titanic. So there's a few more places I'd like to go back to that I wrestled previously, and
mhm.
a few more new places I'd like to get to.
And Katie, like I said, you've been absolutely wonderful to chat to. Do you want to promote your upcoming appearances? Like you said, the couple of Fight Factory shows coming up.
Yeah, so Fight Factory, we have July 26th. It's Fabio versus LJ. They are booking the show. The premise is Team Fabio versus Team LJ. So pick your side and get your tickets. We've Titanic coming up on August 4th. I will be wrestling Emerson James for the Titanic Women's title. And we have RCW that is kicking off June 15th. Myself and
Mhm.
Session Mott teaming against Strong Style. So they're kind of the main things kicking off. But we also, for anyone who wants to learn how to wrestle, we have a beginner's course for Fight Factory kicking off on Mondays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
If you are on the island of Ireland, guys, and you are looking to get into training, Fight Factory is definitely one of the places to be right now in Europe. Definitely go check it out and check Katie out, guys. Like I said, one of the most influential names in Irish wrestling, Irish women's wrestling, definitely. And yeah, guys, if you have enjoyed this interview, make sure to like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.